Happy Monday, everyone.
Hey, everyone. Hope you had a great weekend, that you're having a great start to your Monday on this really rainy day.
Really rainy day. We are tuning in from Toronto. I don't know where you're tuning in from, but it is very rainy here right now.
It has not stopped.
Yep.
All morning. But it's okay. We're dry. We're inside. And we're excited to be with all of you today. So good to see you, Cagney. Hey, Nadine. Hey, Wonder. Thanks for hopping on with us and talking about the message with us. Yes, Nadine, free car washes. Love that.
My biggest pet peeve is when I wash my car and then it rains a couple days later.
You're like,
that
why
really
did I
frustrates
just go
me.
through that effort?
Exactly.
Well, this past weekend was amazing.
Yes.
Pastor Jabin in the house.
Yes. So good.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. I remember he came last year and I loved his message. And then even this year, he just did it again.
Yep.
I felt like it was just perfect for me.
It was perfect. The sermon was called It's Not Over. Put it in the chat. Let us know that it's not over. It was so impactful. But one of the things that I loved was he had these props on stage with him.
I love props.
I love props. He had different ingredients that he was talking about, and he had oil, flour, and water. And really, our question is, what's your favorite thing to bake? But the bonus question is, what can you make with oil, flour, and water?
Okay.
So if you know, put it in the chat, 'cause I don't know. Other than bread, I don't really know what you can bake. But what's your favorite thing to bake?
I'm just classic. I love baking cookies or like a banana bread.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's so just like anything cozy or comfy is, I don't know, so much fun. I do like baking, but I'm not like a great baker. Like I couldn't bake like a proper cake or something.
Right.
My mother-in-law makes like great gluten-free cakes, but I'm not at that level. I'm just like cookies
and banana bread. I'm definitely cookies, banana bread. My favorite thing to bake is apple pie.
Okay, that's good. That's better than me. That's more advanced.
It is a little bit more advanced. But actually, Cagney put it in the chat, focaccia. I am trying to learn. Apparently, it's like not that difficult.
Carrie makes it all the time.
Yeah, so I need to learn how to.
Good recipe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would love to learn how to make it. But I love baking. Also, shout out to Angelie and Joyce. We have our college and young adults ministry. They're both leaders on my team, and both of them, we bake every single week. So if you are a SIA leader, you get fresh baked cookies every single Thursday.
I love that.
And we've been rotating through like a variety of cookies.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Last week was
all teams need to start this.
All teams need a baker, like a for sure baker every week. Yeah.
That's
so cool. It's great.
I love that idea so much. And then you said, what could you make with flour, water, and oil?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know. Isn't it with like, well, it's not flour, cornstarch and water. You make like the goop.
Yes, you could make goop. You definitely could make goop.
It's like wet, but not. It's like a sensory thing for kids.
Yeah. You can make dumplings.
Okay.
Wonder was putting in the chat. I feel like you could probably make some sort of pasta with it too. Like you must be able to.
Right.
But no, you need egg for that.
Right.
I don't know. I'm going to look it up.
What
can I make with just oil, flour, and water? We'll come back to you with that.
We'll come back to you. Oh, Cagney, I love your macaroons. I'm so sad that I missed it. But let's talk about the message. Let's dive in a little bit deeper because it was so good. There was so much we could talk about. So put your sermon takeaways in the chat. Let us know what was just for you. We're going to watch this little clip and then we'll talk about it.
Because once God opens my eyes, I can now see God opened my eyes so I don't live my entire life seeing with these, but never seeing what you're doing in my life, or I will end up praying the wrong prayers, going to the wrong places, hanging with the wrong people, singing the wrong songs. But if God can open my eyes, I can do everything God's called me to do. I think we ought to give God a praise right there.
So good. We need that vision. And I love how Pastor Jabin was saying, like, if you don't get that vision, you're going to pray the wrong prayers, be around the wrong people, be in the wrong places. And I think that there have been so many times, and we actually talked about this at SIA the last couple of weeks, is when you have that higher vision, Pastor preached about it last week, you're able to see things so differently and have just such a better perspective. And you can see how everything is working out for your good, but how God is using everything, but also like saves you from going to places that maybe you shouldn't be going or being around people that maybe you shouldn't be around.
Right. So good. This clip was definitely for me. Something that we've been talking about recently is just making sure that you don't have a vision problem.
Yeah.
And it kind of felt personal because I went to the eye doctor this week.
Yes.
So I was really thinking about vision in a different way. But all that aside, I feel like so many times in my life, I can get so stuck on just like one event that's happening right now.
Right.
And then my whole vision becomes skewed because I'm just looking like super focused on this one thing. And what Pastor Jabin reminded me is that that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not the way that God wants you to live, because if you do that, you're going to miss so much.
Right.
And what really stood for me is when he said the woman was anointed, but she didn't realize that she was. And I think you could miss your calling. You could miss all these amazing God opportunities because you don't have a wider vision of your life.
Yeah.
You don't actually understand the greater impact that you're having because you're so stuck on one smaller detail.
Right.
So we talked about this a lot last week, but something that I'm really trying to do is to zoom out on sometimes the little problems or the little things in front of me and take again this wider focus or this wider vision of what God's actually trying to do, not only in my life, but through me. Because so many times these little things can make you doubt yourself, can make you doubt your calling, make you doubt that you're adding value. So really, I'm trying not to do that and trying to say, hey, I might think this is a small thing, but God is doing something so much bigger and greater on the other side.
Right.
So
I think about too, like last night I had gotten in my car. I always wear my contacts. I never am without my contacts. And last night I had gotten in my car. I wasn't wearing my contacts and everything was just so blurry until I put my glasses on. And I feel like even our future and our calling, it does stay blurry until you can get that good vision. I really couldn't see the road last night until I put my glasses on.
That's dangerous. So
super dangerous.
Put your glasses on.
Put your glasses on. But truly, I think about just when Pastor was even talking about getting that vision for your future, and something I know I struggle with is like life gets really full. And because of that, I don't really stop to be like, hey, God, what is your vision for my future? What is your vision for my calling? And when I'm not able to do that, everything just feels blurry. It feels like I'm doing things just to do things. It feels like I'm in places just to be in places, but there's no real purpose behind it. But when I can get with the Lord and be still and really just abide in him, I can get that vision like, oh, this is so much clearer.
Right.
This is happening for this reason. So.
And it becomes so much more like bigger than yourself, right? Like you kind of take yourself out of maybe the details or the day to day. I also really loved, and Kelly, I think you said it too, the devil only works in your present. And I never really thought about it like that it is so true. Like God knows your future. He knows what's ahead for you. But that's not really sometimes the things that I doubt. It's when something comes up in my mind, and it's usually right in that moment.
Right.
So I could say something just negative like, oh, it's raining outside, or I'm not feeling very well, something like that. But God has all these plans for me. Why aren't I focusing on that? Why am I stuck in the present? Oh, it's because the devil is prowling around like a roaring lion. And if he can destroy the way that I'm feeling right now, then ultimately he will get to my future. So I have to stop it now. A mentor of mine and I were talking last week about like pivoting away quicker from anxiety. So if anxiety is something that maybe you struggle with, or whatever your challenge is, fill in the blank, how quick can you pivot away, or how quick can you change your focus to be away from the thing that the devil wants to use to get to you, to get to the promise or get to a more positive outcome.
Oh, that is so good. Pivoting away from that thing, because I feel like so many times we just stay in it and the enemy uses it because we get stuck and we just, what did Pastor say? You don't get stuck unless you stop.
Right.
So I definitely feel that. And I think one of the lies that the enemy is so quick to attack is the promise that is in Jeremiah 29:11. And in that scripture, it says that God has a promise for your life to prosper you, not to harm you, but a hope and a future. And I think sometimes we can think it's one or the other, like, okay, there's hope. But no, he's like, I've promised both to you. Before you were born, I have given that promise to you as a child of God. You have a hope and a future. And so really focusing on that and not getting stuck in the present and so focused on that thing, that annoyance or the thing that's causing anxiousness, but knowing that you have both a hope and a future for you.
That's great, because I feel like so many times I don't know, I'm just thinking about when he brought out the bread, right? And it's like we want to have the bread. We want to have the full, secure hope and future. We want to know everything. We want to present God this, but we have to learn how to trust God in the midst and say, God, here's my oil. Here's my vessel, my water. Do what you want, because I already know it's going to work out. Right. So I love that whole imagery that he did, and definitely something to be thinking about all week.
Yeah. And another thing that I love that Pastor was talking about was when he was talking about getting frustrated and annoyed. And he's like, when it comes to Sunday morning and church, 9 times, I would say even 10 times out of 10, when you feel like you don't want to go to church is probably when you need to be in church the most.
Right.
And I think that goes for anything. Like there have been so many times where I've been feeling, okay, I just really don't feel like listening to worship music right now. And I'm like, that's a sign that I actually need to be listening to worship music right now. Because the enemy wants to distract you, to take you off your path. And when you get that bigger vision, maybe in the moment you're like, me missing one Sunday isn't going to change anything, but it could change the trajectory of your week. Maybe God has a word for you on that Sunday that's specifically for you, but you need to be in the room to get it.
Right.
Versus just saying, I'll just stay home, or I'll just skip this Sunday, or God's not going to be mad at you, and he won't be mad that you miss a Sunday, but he might have a gift for you that he wants to give you to set you up for the week ahead.
And you might miss it. And also when we do push through our feelings, and when we do show up or do something that we don't feel like doing that day, somebody else might miss that blessing or that example that you set. Somebody needs to see you fighting through something hard so that they can get inspired to stay in the fight or to keep going even when it's difficult. I think so many times, again, we discount what we do and the way that people are always looking at us. If you are a volunteer or a leader or even just someone in your family, like people are always looking at what you're doing, and you don't realize the impact that your example has on so many people around you because we're too focused on something small.
Right. It's so true. So true. And sometimes it takes, Chris and I were talking today, like someone else, I know Pastor talked about this 2 weeks ago, or actually Pastor Holly talked about it. Finding your people. Right. We talk about it all the time. Get in an e-group, because when you get around the right people, they can help you have that vision too, and zoom out and be like, you are making a difference. You do have an impact on people. You have a calling on your life, which so many times when you're just living life day to day, you can't necessarily see it for yourself.
Right. You need someone to kind of call it out in you. It definitely makes a difference. Yeah. We have an action step for all of you this week.
Yes, we do.
Give it to us, Felicia.
Our action step is God, open my eyes. And I thought that this was such a simple but sticky and impactful thing to ask God. Just ask him to open your eyes, give you better vision, give you different vision, give you that God vision that I feel like has been a theme week after week. Really get up higher and see things the way that God sees them. We were talking about that song, Open the Eyes of My Heart, Lord.
I was humming it off to you.
Yes. Actually, you were pretty on tune.
Okay, good. That's a step forward.
Yes. So I would definitely just pray that prayer, but also listen to that song. That song is timeless.
It is timeless.
Yes.
It is truly timeless. And we have a really exciting week this week.
Yep.
If you haven't heard, we're having a youth worship night. So anybody from grade 5 to grade 12, come on out for it. I think doors open at 6:30.
Yep.
And we have Bella, who sings at our Ballantyne location. She's coming down for it. And then Thursday night, Sia.
Yes, Thursday night we are having the final Sia night of the semester. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. It's going to be good food. Chick-fil-A's coming out for it. And we're going to just have a really good discussion to wrap up the semester and kind of reflect on the things that we've been learning all throughout as college and young adults. So if you're between the ages of 18 to 29, be there, 7 o'clock, 1980 Matheson Boulevard East. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be amazing. Well, have a great week, everybody. Get your vision right. Remember that God has good plans for you. Don't focus on the small things that might be getting you down. Look around and see all the ways that God has called you, appointed you for that job, that family, that situation, and trust that he is going to do something good through you. So have a great week. We'll see you soon.
Have a great week.